Welcome back to the channel, everyone. It is great to see you, as it has been a while. So a little while ago, I had a flood that ruined my studio. It also wrecked a lot of my gear and anything that I was working on at that point in time. So I decided to take a break from YouTube so I could address that and slowly start putting things back together again. I'm not nearly back to the way I was before, as I'm using some loaner equipment right now and still under some heavy construction, which you cannot see on this camera angle here, but if you were to look over there, it's still pretty nasty, especially where the pipe burst. Anyways, enough about that. In this video, I'm going to do a quick update on Bitcoin, what I'm seeing in the short to midterm, and I'll let you know some price levels that I'm watching as well. So let's get into it. And we're looking at Bitcoin here up on the daily chart, and I can keep this analysis relatively simple. The noteworthy thing that I'm watching here on this chart is, can Bitcoin put in a higher low as opposed to this pivot point right here? We have been experiencing a little bit of a bear market rally where Bitcoin put in the higher low in this area here, leading to the higher high, of course this higher low, and then a slightly higher high as Bitcoin flirts with the top side of the range. So as Bitcoin pulls back here, can it stay above this pivot point? If it does, then I think Bitcoin has a chance to come back up, testing the top side of the range here. And if it breaks up above the top side of that range, then perhaps this bear market rally wants to continue. However, if we do see Bitcoin start closing down below this pivot point, say, around the $20,800 mark, then I think that's probably enough to initiate a test back down to the bottom side of the range. Perhaps this horizontal here coming in around 18,670. So somewhere between mid 18,000s to 19,000, and then likely a bounce from there. Not convinced that that bounce would lead to much, but we'd have to assess the price action if and when it gets down there. Maybe it would be at least tradable. Now, Bitcoin did close a monthly the other day, so let's go ahead and go out to the monthly chart here. And what we're seeing here is, we saw on the prior month, we got this big red candle to the downside, closing below that green 55, and now we've had the back test of the 55, confirming it as resistance, at least for now. If we look back in time a little bit, you can see that Bitcoin did stab the 55 in this area here, and that was on the virus dump that everyone's well aware of at this point in time. Did hold a support, and then we saw Bitcoin rip to this massive, massive bull run here. So this time's a little bit different, as we're seeing this big lightsaber here closing down below at 55, and of course testing it as resistance. Now, to me, that's not a death sentence by any stretch. It looks to me that Bitcoin at least wants to move sideways here, and maybe it does fill out this range. So we've got, it's pretty easy to observe here. We have the wick high in this area here, and then we have the wick low down here. And for me, it's likely going to ping pong in this area a bit. However, it's also telling if Bitcoin wants to break one side or the other. So in this case here, if we see it start closing up above the top side, then, we're going to likely see the bear market rally continue. And perhaps it wants to come up and fill the gap on the CMEs. And if I pull the CME chart up, it can be easily seen on a daily here. I'll just zoom out a bit. And as you can see, we do have this gap coming in this area here. And so, getting above the top side of that range, maybe we do see Bitcoin work its way back up to around the low, be $28,500 to $29,000 mark. But as a reminder to myself, that even if Bitcoin did work its way up into that area, and say it did stick in a pivot point there, it's just another lower high in the context of this overall bear market here. And if it rolled from there, then likely, it'd be a lot of downside implied at that point in time. So I wouldn't be necessarily getting too excited at that point in time. Could that be tradable? Certainly. But it wouldn't necessarily undo the bear market and lead us straight into a bull market. But with that being said, if we did see Bitcoin start closing up above some of these levels around this area here, so above the $30,000 mark, then things do start to look a little bit better, speaking to the macro. But definitely not something that I would be expecting at this point in time. For now, I'm just looking at this range to fill out. If it breaks one side or the other, that'll be a bit telling as to where Bitcoin wants to move next. If Bitcoin does work its way to the bottom side of this range and starts closing down below this horizontal here around that 18,670 mark, then perhaps it wants to test some of these lower levels, maybe even as low as 16,314. And perhaps Bitcoin would stick in its bottom around that area there. But anyway, that's what I'm seeing right now. Pretty simple analysis right here. If we see any break of structure here, then we can start looking for Bitcoin's next leg, whether that comes up or down. In the meantime, let's see if it fills out this range for the next month, and then we'll see what things start to do come September and into the fall. Anyway, good to see everybody. Looking forward to seeing the next video. I'll be back doing some more market update videos. I'm going to be working on a whole bunch of different tutorials, all the way from beginners to exchange tutorials, a bunch of stuff that I wanted to get done in the when I was putting out videos before in the bull market. But now that things are nice and quiet in the bear market, I have some time to focus, so I'm going to be getting those done, and I will be sprinkling out some market update videos for everyone as well. Good to see everybody. Looking forward to seeing the next one. Take care.